G'day campers, Justin the Wayward Aussie. A couple of the questions that we get all the time for Overland 101 is what things do I need to consider and what's some of the important points that I really should chuck into my bucket, my brain bucket on what I need to think about first. And one of the biggest things we find is the planning for the storage and the carriage of all the gear that you're going to need to bring and the stuff that you build up over time. So when you start out, you've got one little stove, you've got one pot, you've got a couple of bits and pieces. But as your journey grows and you do more and more and more, you get more and more and more gear. Planning where that gear is going to live, where you're going to get access to it, how you're going to store it, how you're going to secure it, and how do you get to it if you need it in a hurry, is some of the important things that we found are handy to think about earlier rather than later. So I'm here at Expedition Superstore, and we're going to have a look at some of the overland storage solutions that you can find out there in the marketplace that carry things like your recovery gear, Maxtrax, cooking, the stuff that you bring randomly or that changes from time to time, which is the amount of food you bring depending on how many days you're going for, the chairs, all those things that you need to think about where they're going to live. So today we want to go through some of the options on what to put them in, how much to carry, and how to secure those things. So come on with a little journey on some storage solutions, Overland 101. The first things that you need to think about are your essential items. What are you going to need to take every time? What are you going to need to access quickly? What are you going to need to access not so quickly? They can be tucked away and stored in different spots. Again, you're not going to need them all the time. Simple thing, but again, where are you going to put all this stuff and what are you going to put it in to get to it when you need it? And it's exactly where you want to be able to find it and go, you know what, I'm looking for a, and you know where to get to that thing. Have a look at a couple of options to carry some recovery gear and where you're going to stick them in or on the vehicle to get to them easily, because it's not stuff hopefully you use often, but when you need it, you absolutely need it. So let's start there. So we're going to start with a 23-0 102 litre storage box. We picked this box first because we kind of know already that this fits 2 or 4 Maxtrax in the box, and you can also mount them into the lid using the inbuilt riv nuts that are already there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and collect some stuff from the store and we're going to dump it all in there, and I'm going to show you guys how we assemble. In this case, it's going to be a recovery kit. This box can live in the bed or it can live in the roof rack. So you can choose where it's going to live. We're going to fill this up with all the recovery gear that I think I would take on a trip, and maybe it's the same that you have as well. All right, so let's have a look at what I just put into this box. So firstly, as you can see, this one has 4 clips on it, so it snaps nice and shut. It's lockable, it's waterproof, it can mount on the roof, it can mount in the back of a truck. Let's have a look at what I just put into this box, because again, I think this is a fairly comprehensive recovery kit for both beginners and advanced, and has all the essential stuff that you guys are going to need, hopefully to pull yourself out of trouble. Snatch strap, D-shackles, snatch block, tree saver, rope arrestor for your winch cable, shovel, gloves, and 1 set of Maxtrax. Again, I could fit 2 sets of Maxtrax, and as you'll see, I can actually put them up in that lid and still close that. But for this experiment, that is your recovery box. So 1 box, ready to rock and roll. Okay, so let's talk about kitchen stuff. Kitchen stuff's an important part of any overland expedition, short or long. Feeding yourself is kind of pretty important. So we've chucked it all in the deck box system in this case. I'm going to pull it out and have a look at what we've got in here. We have kitchen storage. That's in the 23-0 kitchen holder. We've got our utility, which is all our other bits and pieces. And of course, we've got the stove. These are a handy way. Everything's contained in 1 bag. It's not going to rattle around. It's all contained. So let's have a look at what's in here and how this works. All right, so that pulls it out into use. It has all the stuff that you need to pretty well cook with. So you've got the essential stuff like plates to serve on, bowls, mugs, wine glasses if you're a wine drinker, and then at the bottom here it's got another section which comes with another knife roll / utility roll, which has things like flippers, turners, knives, all that other cooking stuff, and that all just rolls up into one. So that's one way of doing it. That's the 23-0 kitchen hanger. And that's the utility. So this is for all of the other bits that, well, not all the other bits, but some of the other bits that you're going to find and go, you know what, I kind of need to take that with me. Let's have a look what we've got in here. We've chucked gas bottles in. We've got some of our cooking gear in the bottom, so our cooking essentials. We've got gloves. We've got a battery. We've got somewhere to put bug sprays and oils and detergents and all that sort of stuff. Flashlights, knives, fire starters, all that sort of gear. And as you can see, it again, it all rolls up and keeps it into one neat rolled up little package like that. And then you've got one handle on the top to keep all that stuff, and that just pops back into the drawer system or a storage box, whatever you've got. So of course, one of the most important things that you could take on your camping trip is something to sleep in. Now that involves sleeping bag, pillows, so that's the sleep on. I call that the sleep on part. Sleep in is something like a rooftop tent or a ground tent. Both of those choices have pros and cons. We're standing in front of a 23-0 tent. It just so happens that this one allows space at the back that when the tent folds in, you can put sleeping bags and pillows wrapped up in the back of the tent. So then it does two jobs. It gives you something to sleep in, a tent, and it gives you something to sleep on or in, depending on which way you want to look at it, which is sleeping bag and pillows and some of those comforts you want to bring from home. If you want to put gear in it, make sure it's going to put the gear that you want in it or on it. So in this case, you could actually go one step further, use the attached racks and put a solar panel or those recovery boards, the Maxtrax or something of that ilk on the top of it. But a rooftop tent is a great way to store bedding and sleeping stuff because it all folds down as one piece. So we've had a look through some storage and organization, and if you put some thought into what you're going to take and how you're going to take it and organize that, it's going to make an awesome difference to the experience you're going to have on the road. You're going to be able to find the things you want. You're going to be able to make sure that you've got all the things that you need. Sometimes I've been known to put a little checklist on a storage box, and like our recovery box, we ticked off, have we got Maxtrax? Have we got ropes? Have we got shackles? Have we got gloves? Have we got all the things that we may possibly need? So it's also a good way to double check that you've remembered the right gear to take for the journey you're about to undergo. So organization, important part of Overland 101. So many different choices that you've got to play with. So storage and organization, Overland 101. Thanks for listening.